Hello, everybody. Welcome to another review. Today, I am finally getting back around to finishing off What If with the Season 1 finale, because now there's going to be multiple seasons. What if the Watcher broke his oath? So right off the bat, I was so close to that title name. I think the one that I guessed was What If the Watcher interfered? Since he's so specific about he used that word a lot over the course of the season in increasing ways. And I was so close with that. It's literally as close as you can get without getting it right because the two are synonyms. Breaking his oath is interfering. So I'll give myself like 0.4 points for that one, for getting like the idea, but not the words. This episode needed to be longer. Right off the bat, it feels like after the previous episode, which was a lot more deliberately paced, they had a lot to get through, but they still managed to get a lot of, ground covered and a lot of setup for this episode. And this episode was like very flashy, tons of action, but it really needed a little bit more time to get fleshed out. I would have liked to see a teeny bit more of a follow-up to each of the episodes that we referenced. So 5 of the previous episodes that we've seen so far, I guess 6 technically, including the Doctor Strange one, 6 of the episodes in the universes that we've seen get their heroes brought into the fold by the Watcher to form the Guardians of the Multiverse, which I thought was pretty cool. I was wondering if they were going to go with like an Avengers-style team name, the same way they did with the Revengers, I think, is Thor's name for his team in Ragnarok. But yeah, we see a decent chunk of Captain Carter's universe or timeline, I guess. I'm gonna keep saying universe instead of timeline. It's tricky at this point. The differences are you could argue that the differences between a universe and a timeline are semantic, but I don't know, or maybe even pedantic. But they spent a little bit of time going over at the beginning of the episode, we got to see more of Captain Carter in her universe. We see that after the events of what had previously been, I guess you could call it Captain Carter, the First Avenger, presumably some version of the Avengers happens, and then Peggy winds up, I almost said Sharon, Peggy winds up continuing on into the events of, we'll say, Captain Carter the Winter Soldier or something. So that's the thing. It's the beginning of Captain America the Winter Soldier, except Bucky lives in her story. And actually, I think everybody lives. Nobody dies on the train. So the Winter Soldier may just not exist at all. But it's her and Natasha and the strike team dealing with the Hydra situation, fighting Batroc the Leaper. But we get a couple minutes there to kind of get that follow up. And we don't get that with anyone else. And I'll get into the others in a second, but I think that each of those worlds could have used a little bit of expanding, including one in particular. We actually see a timeline that we had not seen in the previous 8 episodes. There's a timeline where I believe we're on Nidavellir, where Tony, in a Hulkbuster armor that's got a very... it reminds me of it's got a very South African kind of look to it on the armor, like the paint job, and this armored out Gamora, and they're melting down an empty Infinity Gauntlet, and Tony is talking about putting a suit of armor around the world, around the galaxy, and it's just a very there's a lot of... I'm very curious what the change in that universe was, because it would have had to be something pretty significant for it to have changed the trajectory, and apparently Gamora herself killed Thanos. Also, no one else is here, which makes me double wonder, if there were way worse casualties or something. If you're going into space to melt the Infinity Gauntlet, why would you not take like the other Guardians and Thor, and if they'd met Captain Marvel yet, Captain Marvel. Why would you not take basically all of your space dudes with you to go and do this, just to be sure that everything's like good? But yeah, I really wanted to know more about that universe, and they didn't wind up really getting into it. And I'm wondering if that's either a tease for season 2, or if it's just them going. Maybe there was an episode that they were planning that got cut. I could have sworn that the original order was for 10 episodes, not 9. I could be wrong. I don't want to state that as fact, but when we got this started, I thought there were 10 episodes, not 9. And I'm wondering if it's at all possible that either A, it's an episode that just got cut for time. B, is it an episode that got cut because it was supposed to involve T'Challa? I don't really know. Or is it not? Was it not ever going to be an episode? And it's just them putting in an extra character as like a bonus surprise. Because the Infinity Crusher that Gamora has on her is like a pretty big piece of the puzzle, sort of. And they treat it like a bit of a reveal when it happens. So I don't know. So the episode needed to be a little bit longer. I think we could have spent more time looking at the characters between their episode and this one. And I think, I don't know. I wouldn't have minded a little bit more of an epilogue for each of them also, because some of them leave the bar at the end and they're just gone. We don't see them at all. Star-Lord T'Challa gets a few seconds of him and Peter Quill just shooting at something that's off camera during the, not the convergence, the, oh no, what the hell's the name of it? I forget the name of nope, I had it for a second. The event in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where Ego is trying to essentially absorb, I guess, the universe. Yeah, it's gone. That's okay. We have a lot of like the blank events in the MCU. So in addition to the episode really needing to be longer, also because like there's only so much you can get done in 25 minutes, you know? It would be nice 25, 30 minutes. I guess the actual, it's probably closer to like 28 or so minutes of the actual episode between credits to credits. There's only so much you can get done there. And for a big finale, especially one where all of the stories have been so disconnected, it'd be nice for the finale to feel a little bit meatier. It's possible to do a really good one without doing that. I think, what was it? The Doctor Strange episode was the one that I gave a perfect 10 to. It's the only thing I've given a 10 to at all, ever, yet. And that managed to do a really good story in that same amount of time. This one stumbled a little bit. My biggest gripe for sure is that Infinity Ultron feels way, way, way depowered compared to the previous episode. In the other episode, he was just wiping out planets and galaxies, deforesting, just like boom, there goes the whole thing gone. He has claimed total domination and elimination of several universes at this point. And there's a period in here where Captain Carter and Natasha Romanoff are bouncing his head back and forth with thrown vibranium shields, which feels off. Now, I get that you want to have a fight that is like fair. You want to have a fight that actually has both sides getting in some good hits. You want it to be exciting. However, it does feel like they removed Ultron's ability to just eliminate everything. And you could make the argument that like, oh, he's just kind of like, he's just screwing with him because it's funny that they're trying to mess with him. Like the first thing that happens is Thor does his Viva Las Vegas attack. Also, Party Thor is back and he's just as insufferable as he was last time. The one line of his that I didn't hate was the was the like, I trust everyone. And it's like, all right, that's like a legit kind of character beat for him, and it's delivered in a sincere sort of way, so I can get behind that. But yeah, Ultron was just going berserk in episode 8, and here in episode 9, it takes him a while to find them, despite being able to literally chase the Watcher across universes before. And once they fight, he's like not even really doing, like, he's knocking down mountains, and he's doing like big blasts and things. And eventually, he does blow up the Milky Way galaxy. Like, he explodes it, and then Doctor Strange Supreme, I think, is the official name for Evil Strange. Just kind of pulls it back and absorbs absorbs that energy and then uses it for later stuff in the battle. And it's like, okay, that's pretty legit. That should have been way earlier in this fight. That should have been like the second thing that Ultron did was like, I don't have time for this, and like destroy everything, and then Strange pulls it back. Instead, it's like 5 minutes of battle and escape and battle before he tries it. He even says, I can wipe out galaxies with a thought. Why are you so hard to kill? And it's like, that's a good question, because they really shouldn't be. You've got You've got Doctor Strange, and I guess this is a good time to go over some of our other heroes in their universes. We have Captain Carter, who is basically the same idea as the main universe, the main timeline, the Sacred Timeline. There we go. I was like, what's the name of that? The Sacred Timeline's version of Steve Rogers. So very powerful human, like superhuman strength, durability, speed, musculature, all of these things. But that's it. They are a superhuman. They're not going to survive in space kind of deal. You have Star-Lord T'Challa, who is just a guy, right? Like, Peter Quill actually has the DNA of a Celestial in him, which never really comes up except for the like plot relevant portion of Guardians 2. I kind of wish that was a thing that mattered in Infinity War, but it didn't. But T'Challa is just a guy. Like, he's just a dude with the boosters and the guns and the helmet and stuff. We've got Gamora, who appears to just be Gamora. Like, not a dramatically different version of. She's got the copter blade. She's got the Thanos copter blade sword thing. I forgot about that aspect of it. I think she's actually wearing Thanos' armor too, or a version that looks very much like it. So there's that. So far we've got one superhuman and two basically averagey sort of dudes. Gamora has been shown to be pretty resilient though, like beyond stronger too than an average human. So you could put her in the same like general category as Captain Carter. We bring in Killmonger for some reason. Like, I get in the end what the goal was, I guess, but like, that's such a strange choice. Killmonger, to my recollection, does nothing important for the entire episode until his face heel turn, where he takes the Infinity Stones, and this is, to the credit of the writers and anyone who ever writes for Michael B. Jordan in the MCU, and Michael B. Jordan himself with his acting, is like, they do an exceptional job of making Eric Stevens sound very sincere, and he probably is pretty genuine in the stuff he's saying. But at the end of the day, the stuff that he's doing, even if he can pitch it to the others as being for a noble purpose, we can save your worlds, we can save your planets, your universes, he still wants to use the Infinity Stones to fulfill his mission, and that he'll sell it with a smile and then go and do the bad. So I don't know. They do a good job with that, because you can feel like there's this. His voice is eliciting a certain like genuine feeling to it, but you can tell it's like, well, I know what you want to do, so no. But Killmonger is here, and he at least has, I think he's had the heart-shaped herb at this point, so he is Black Panther. So again, we'll put that in the ballpark of Captain Carter, and probably better than, I don't know how Gamora and Black Panther compare in terms of like strength and durability and stuff. You get Party Thor, who is Thor still, but is just kind of a doofus. So we finally have a character with like extra human like physique, power, resilience, all of these things, like beyond the level of any of the other teammates. And then you've got Natasha Romanoff from her Destroyed universe, and she's also just a person. So you have Thor and Doctor Strange Supreme, and then 5, at best, very powerful people to fight Ultron, who was shown on screen just erasing galaxies. And in this episode, he tries it once and doesn't bother trying anything similar again. Like, okay, fine. So you can't blow up the galaxy. Why not just take the Earth and go and let everyone fall into the core or something? Like, there's a lot of options here. And once again, we have no idea what the Soul Stone does. Ironically, so there were a lot of people before this episode came out wondering whether they were going to do something similar to, I want to say, in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, whose plot revolves around the Infinity Gems. And a big issue there, I want to say, is that Sigma Ultron Sigma, whatever the name that they go with is, I think it's Ultron Sigma. They have difficulty using the Soul Stone because they're both machines, and so the Soul Stone is like incompatible with them or something. There were a lot of people that were wondering if that was going to be the case with this episode, and it wasn't. That it never comes up. Nothing even slightly happens there, and it's possible that it's because of the biological vibranium body that is the Vision, but it's kind of hard to say there. But yeah, so the goal is get the Soul Stone off of him and then use the Infinity Crusher, which is a neat idea. And so this is one of those things where the episode kind of outright lies to the audience. So eventually they get the Soul Stone. Gamora throws the Soul Stone into the Crusher, and then puts it on Ultron's chest, where it just starts grinding away at the Infinity Stones in his armor, as well as the Mind Stone in his forehead. And at some point we get a close-up of a set of lights on the Crusher, and you can see them red, purple, orange, yellow, green, blue, and they all light up. And they're like, and then a huge explosion happens. Like, we did it. I don't know if we did it. And then Ultron's like, ha 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 ha. All of these Infinity Stones are unique, and which is like, okay, sure. 3 problems here. One, why did the lights? Ultron, by the way, still has all of his stones, and he takes back the Soul Stone at this point too. One, why did the lights light up? Presumably the point of those lights is that they light up when the Infinity Stones are detected as destroyed. But they're not. So why were there lights? 2, why would the Infinity Crusher... So the problem they say is that the Infinity Crusher was designed to crush the Infinity Stones on Gamora's timeline in her universe. So what? It's a grinding machine, and it's powered by an Infinity Stone. So why would an Infinity Stone powering the Crusher not be able to crush the other 5 Infinity Stones? It's not like the pulverizing thing, is like coated or anything. And it's being powered by a same universe stone. I appreciate, by the way, that we got to get the soul stone is kind of a silly thing on its own, like why the soul stone specifically. But even as I'm thinking about it right now, we still don't know what the soul stone can actually like do in a battle exactly on its own. And the other 5 are decidedly more dangerous. The ability to control space or time, the ability to destroy a whole planet with its touch, the ability to rewrite reality, the ability to control minds. Those are all extremely dangerous. So if you had to pick one to be left behind at the end, the Soul Stone makes sense as the one that you leave behind. Those are the first 2 problems. And the third problem is that less a problem and more a... The MCU is playing a little fast and loose with the Infinity Stones post Endgame. So in the comics, my understanding is that Infinity Stones, or Infinity Gems rather, can only work in their universe. The home universe they're from is the only place that they can work because they are singularities connected to that universe. If you take an Infinity Gem to another universe, it has no connection to this universe, so it does nothing. It's literally just a rock at that point. We saw a kind of element of this in Loki, where there's the drawer full of discarded Infinity Stones from a whole bunch of different timelines, but it's unclear whether they would ever work. Like, they don't work in the TVA. The question is whether they could be brought to another universe and work or whatever. But here, we have Ultron using all 6 Infinity Stones from... And I mean... So the battle takes place in the same universe where Ultron starts from, the most of the battle. But he does use the Infinity Stones in the abandoned universe, the empty universe that they go to early in the episode. He does use the Infinity Stones there. And then in Ultron's universe, Doctor Strange is able to use his Time Stone to counteract Ultron's Time Stone in order to break the time explosion that he set off. So that's a thing. It is really confusing to talk about this episode because there's so many different factors at play. Also, again, the delineation between universes and timelines is narrow at best, especially considering, up until now, the idea has been, so prior to Loki, there was the sacred timeline. Now there's branching timelines, but the idea is that everyone is, roughly the same, though they can look different. So I guess this does slightly answer the question. I was going to say, because, Loki and Sylvie are the same person from different timelines, functionally speaking. You could make arguments for them being technically different people, but it's just because of, the circumstances of their birth even. But regardless... They are the same person from different universes. In teasers for Spider-Man No Way Home, there is a scene where Doctor Strange, interrogates Dr. Octopus about, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Yes. Is this your Peter Parker? No. So, we have different Peter Parkers as well, which I guess that's been established. It's stuff that's kind of coming into my head as we're going here, but we've gone so far off track here at this point. I'm realizing we're barely even talking about the episode anymore. Yeah, the Infinity Crusher thing is neat, but the implementation has a lot of problems with it, and it's weird that Infinity Stones can go to another timeline, another universe, and work, but a thing that destroys Infinity Stones can't destroy Infinity Stones from a different universe, even if they're being powered by Infinity Stones from that universe. Yeah. So, okay, cool. Also, yeah, so thoughts about the different universes real quick. I wanted to go back to Party Thor. So, we've seen Age of Ultron. Thor, when being serious and actually having some practice under his belt, is able to fend off a handful of sentries, usually like one or two at a time, and is starting to like get a little bit overwhelmed by the end. Party Thor is like very casually taking down super sentries, which seems a little off because he's not seem like he's keeping up on his battle tactics all that well. It was just kind of it's a fight that should be like super duper hopeless. Not to mention, Ultron sent a swarm, a planet of sentries to consume Ego, and he didn't do that here. He didn't literally just overwhelm the entirety of Earth, which is confusing to me. We also get to see the zombies. The zombies come back. That's pretty fun. I didn't realize till my third time watching the episode, that the first zombie that falls out is actually Steve Rogers. I'm sure there's a handful of other of the heroes that are there first, but Steve Rogers is the first one that falls. We get to see zombie Wanda one more time, though I'm a person who generally is appreciative of movies and shows that don't have the plan go according to plan, where it's like, all right, here's how this is going to work. This works, this works, this works. And something goes wrong, and that's like the thing that's going on here. But this is like Doctor Strange opens a wormhole to the zombie universe and drops a bunch of zombies onto Ultron, and then Wanda's there. But Wanda's powers don't work because Ultron has a different reality stone. And then she goes, and he just detonates the planet. Like, it was just such a sudden, like, it wasn't even, all right, these guys are going to fight for a sec. And then it's also worth noting, the last time we saw Wanda, she was fighting with the Hulk, I think. And the Hulk, I don't believe, was anywhere to be seen here. So I guess Wanda won, though I think we kind of assumed that was likely going to be the case. Or Bruce did get away in the end. We're not really sure. Cool. So there's all of these things. The timelines are a little hard to keep track of. Eventually we actually see the timeline where the Avengers were killed from episode 3, I think, which is neat to go back there. And roughly the events of the Avengers are happening. Where Earth is fighting off as Guardians, as being led by Loki, but Loki has the scepter. How does he have the scepter? Because that was given to him by Thanos after Thanos found him floating in the void after the events of Thor, and the events of Thor didn't really play out that same way here. So I'm not really sure how he got the scepter in the first place. It was cool to see Natasha use the scepter to mind control Loki, though. That was pretty neat. Yeah, that was just kind of an interesting little thing there. So now that I've spent an absolute eternity talking about all of these things, let's get into some of the like little categorical facets of this. I do like that the Guardians of the Multiverse are kind of mirroring the Avengers. It's for one, the team is formed in the pub from Captain America: The First Avenger, which is the first place an Avenger assembled their team, which I think is kind of neat. They got 6 strangers that are all brought together from afar in order to accomplish the task, depending on whether you count Strange as being kind of a Nick Fury type, though honestly the Watcher is more than Nick Fury here. But Natasha joins later on too, so they have a circle shot of the team at one point, which is pretty cool. And the Watcher gives them their name. It is neat that this team is almost entirely different characters from the ones that were around, to finish off Endgame. Party Thor is so different from Thor in Infinity War and Endgame that feels like a decent enough separation. Natasha is a totally different version of herself as well. maybe not so much as Party Thor, but definitely like she doesn't seem to. It's actually kind of unclear what. Oh no, that's right, because that episode basically Ultron won during Age of Ultron. So yeah, Infinity War. Oh, and that's right. Thanos shows up and he gets sliced in half, and that's how Ultron got the Infinity Stones to start with. So yeah, so Infinity War just never even happened. But we have Gamora, we have Captain Carter, we have T'Challa and Eric Stevens. We have Party Thor, we have Natasha, Doctor Strange, and the Watcher. So it's cool that we have, for the most part, a separate set of people from the ones we had in Endgame. The Chinese food bit in the bar also feels a little bit reminiscent of the just kind of circle up and eat scenes from Endgame. I thought that was kind of nice. So okay, the plan is very confusing to me. I've already talked about a handful of this stuff, like the Infinity Crusher doesn't make sense for not working. The Soul Stone, also, if they steal the Soul Stone, what's to stop Ultron from just, like, fucking up the planet? Like, he can't blow it up necessarily, because Strange will stop that, but, like, he has enough stuff that he could do so much, and he just kind of doesn't. So there's that. But, yeah, we already talked about blowing up the planet. We talked about these things. Everyone beating up on Ultron makes not a lot of sense. I even have a thing in here in big bold letters that says Time Stone, obviously. Wait, Doctor Strange Supreme's Time Stone works here? Wait, Ultron's worked elsewhere too? Yeah. Yeah, wait, why didn't it work? So why do the lights go on? Oh my god. I got so mad during parts of this episode. Holy cow. But here's the thing. Killmonger contributed basically nothing to the episode. He didn't contribute anything really to the team. In fact, I think he was in the first group. It was him and Gamora that went ahead to Natasha's universe and waited there during the battle in the empty universe. And then once they were there, I don't remember him doing basically anything until the chains came up. And he pulled on one of those, but that feels kind of contrived. Like, he's only there to be the bad guy at the end when Doctor Strange locks. So, oh boy, we'll come back to that. He's just there to be this bad guy in the end, but it's played up as like the Watcher. Oh, this was part of his plan the whole time. He knew that this was going to happen, and this and this and this. And it's like, yeah, but why? Why would he not? If he knew, why would he bring Killmonger, since then anybody else could have, like the Watcher could have taken the Infinity Stones and done something with them. He could have literally brought them to the TVA where they would be useless. He could have just dropped them in someone's desk and then walked away. It would have never been a thing ever again. And it wouldn't even be interfering because they barely noticed they're there in the first place. They're paperweights in the TVA. So, like, I don't know. I thought it was cool that the Zola arrow came back. I thought it was interesting that Zola defeated Ultron from the inside, because Ultron defeated Jarvis from the inside, and I'm pretty sure that Jarvis could take Zola's programming down any day, especially since Zola was built on all of this analog hardware, and on stuff that is not meant to move all that fast, whereas Ultron is basically, imagine the internet as a weapon, and that's Ultron. So that was a little bit strange. Like, by the end of the episode, Ultron appears to be completely consumed and dead. We have a point where Killmonger uses the Sentry head that Thor brought to the team to absorb the armor that Ultron made for himself, his Ultron armor around his Vision body. So now Killmonger's got the Ultron armor, but then Zola stands up as Vision, and he's just kind of a display on his torso. Like I feel like they were going for an almost Krang sort of situation, but it's just like, how come you got a Matrix TV on your chest? Like, what is that all about? They could have changed the body to make him green and like dark and stuff, but instead they just have this weird thing on the chest. And then they get locked in this endless battle, force pulling the Infinity Stones between them into a pocket universe where Doctor Strange is watching over them. And I don't. You can use the stones to destroy the stones. This is canonical. So why not just destroy the stones? There has to have been a way to just destroy the stones. Like, using the stones to destroy the stones. The Watcher obviously knew this was an option. There's no way that he's not familiar with that. There's just so many little pieces to this that I'm just like... Also, Natasha rides a motorcycle off a ramp on a roof, flying through the air, and fires the arrow to hit Ultron dead square in the eye. But not just in the eye after Captain Carter does one of these, which will pull his head back. Like, that's the mother of all called shots, and she does not have perfect aim as her superpower. So, like, that's pretty contrived. I would have more believed it if she went and, like, jumped off the thing and just stabbed him with it. That I would have believed much more easily than, oh yeah, she's on a moving vehicle and she makes the ultimate perfect shot. It's so weird to me. Doctor Strange Supreme is a really interesting character here. I really like that he gives everyone a protection spell. It's very similar to, and I think the idea is because he absorbed, the other version of him, the other Doctor Strange, he was able to kind of, do that specific protection spell that was used against him in his episode. I like that the way that it appears is very runic and golden and stuff, but there's also, if you look closely, everyone has this kind of holographic armor wireframe around them, and they're all unique, and they're all kind of based off of their innate abilities and things. Like Thor winds up having what looks like his classic comics outfit, like he has the winged helmet as part of his. Natasha's got a very Road Warrior looking, like football, pads kind of protection spell thing there. Everyone's got a bunch of different things. T'Challa's notably has like claws on it, so it's a very Black Panther-y kind of thing there, which I thought was neat. So that was pretty cool. He does a sweet trick where Party Thor throws Mjolnir, and he makes a spell to replicate it. Like, it's unclear exactly what's going on, but he's actually able to create more Mjolnirs that then just absolutely just go nuts on Ultron. And that's one where I could see him having a bit of trouble compared to the Vibranium Shield, which is like Thanos fucking no-sold that shit pretty easily without all of that ability. And here's Ultron getting decked left and right. 100 Mjolnirs flying around is definitely going to be a problem for him. So I thought that was kind of neat. Also, he ends the episode in such a weird place. We've got Doctor Strange in a contained pocket universe. It's not a pocket universe, I guess. It's just pocket-sized. He's got his contained universe where he sits for eternity watching the pocket universe with Zola and Killmonger fighting over Infinity Stones, because if it ever cracks, then they can get out. I have to wonder if there's going to be something of that in season 2 where we're like, something happens or whatever. We have like a bunch of monster transformation stuff with Doctor Strange. Very cool. I already talked about Killmonger. I wrote down a note, and I think the reason that Killmonger is so interested in the Sentry head, aside from the fact that he is an engineer in his own right anyway, is that Ultron, especially the sentries, are very closely based on Iron Man tech. And like, even though Tony Stark from his universe never became Iron Man, never actually, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like he never became Iron Man. Iron Man as a concept just doesn't even exist, so maybe he wouldn't recognize it. I was going to say, like, all right, so even if he's only got the original, Mark 1 suit, but he didn't. So, never mind. He just thought it was cool because it was a robot head and he's an engineer. I'm glad we're working these things out on the fly in the middle of all this. The shot of the Soul Stone was one of my favorites for the whole episode. The Soul Stone hits the ground and everyone's scrambling around, and you see like feet and people getting thrown down, and every once in a while someone goes to grab it but they get knocked away. It reminded me a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the opening sequence to that, where we had young Groot running around and doing stuff while the team was fighting I was going to say Alioth. No, Nope, can't remember it right now. That's fine. But regardless, I thought that was a fun scene. I thought that was kind of cool. The Zola and Ultron programs, I'm just kind of like have some stuff on visuals here. The Zola versus Ultron conversation they have, I didn't love the Zola look to start with. Like, I know they're doing the CG, like the 3D animated version of the way that he looked in Winter Soldier. But, like, he was code on a screen. Like, you could have just literally used the same exact effects and it would have fit just fine. Maybe, drop it down to a very simple color palette as opposed to having, all the shades that would naturally come with text on an actual CRT screen. Ultron looks like he came out of Reboot. Something there was just, it felt very wrong, especially considering we've seen what Ultron looks like as Code, and he doesn't look like a floating head. He looks like a big yellow neural web. So why did we have to change that for this and make him this really low poly thing for this conversation? It's so weird. It was so weird. Oh, Obelisk. Obelisk was was what I was referring to there. They have a couple references here and there that from other things. Thor grabs a beer from Doctor Strange, which was kind of nice. We've got our third, I think, spiel about the Infinity Stones and how they were created and stuff, because we got it first in Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we got it again in Infinity War. We're getting it again here. Captain Carter grabs onto one of the flying Mjolnirs, one of the replicated flying Mjolnirs, but just grabs on and hitches a ride. She doesn't actually redirect it, which is implying at least somewhat that, Peggy Carter is I guess not worthy of Mjolnir, if that rule even applies, considering Party Thor is very much not like... There was the question early on of, like, prior to the events of Thor, could anyone have lifted up Mjolnir? And it's just very heavy, as opposed to once Odin cursed it, only, whosoever lifts his hammer, if he so be worthy, whatever the fuck the line is. I wrote down, does Captain Carter recognize the obelisk, but I don't remember where. Oh, because there's a point where Doctor Strange, when they're having a little bonfire moment, accidentally just like, whoa, and like part of the obelisk comes out of him and he pulls it back in, and Captain Carter's just like, It's like, is that not the same monster that you killed when Red Skull tried to summon it in your world? I feel like you'd have a stronger reaction there. Let's see. Killmonger. Oh, after Killmonger gets the Infinity Stones, he powers up in this giant column of light to start like trying to use it in a very Dragon Ball Z sort of way, which I thought was kind of cool, considering in his own episode he said that he loved anime, and that's why his mech ideas were so Gundam inspired. I thought that was kind of a neat little reference. I mentioned the Zola looks like Krang. In the end, we get a cool little moment between the Watcher and Natasha, where she kind of, like, the trope is the reason you suck speech, and it's basically she delivers this verbal beatdown to the Watcher about, like, What, I just go back to my world and that's it? Am I just a story to you? You don't really care, do you? He's like, oh, you mean everything to me. And it's like, the Watcher increasingly has become a metaphor for the writers and fans of the MCU in these sort of like, oh, I must watch, but I can't do anything, but I have to watch kind of thing. And I thought that was kind of a neat little metaphor there. I wish they would explore it a little bit more, and it is possible they could do so in season 2, which is also the big kind of question. Is like, what is season 2 going to be? I had guessed earlier on that season 2 was going to be primarily made up of sequels to season 1, following up on Captain Carter, because she actually gets a stinger here, where on the Lemurian Star, the Hydra Stomper is in storage there, presumably with Steve Rogers inside. Whether he is young or old is unclear, but, there's definitely room for a continuation of that story. Same goes for the zombie storyline, which is being spun off into its own series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a continuation of this What If series in terms of like, will it be that universe specifically, or are they going to completely start it from scratch and do that, and it'll just be another universe where zombies happened or something like that. But there's all these episodes where they could do sequels. Episode 8 pretty much went directly into episode 9. And the world from episode 8 is gone. Like, I don't know if the universe even exists anymore, but Natasha moved over to the Avengers Are Dead universe from episode 3. So now we have the first 7 episodes that all have universes that are still existing, except episode 2 was all about Star-Lord T'Challa, and they've said they're not going to recast T'Challa, so that story is going to have to be over, which means there are 6 episodes that could continue on. And one of those, the zombies one, I think episode 5, I think that was episode 5, yeah, had T'Challa as one of the characters escaping, so either he would have to have gotten hit or something. So we have Captain Carter, we have the Avengers Are Dead, featuring Natasha Reborn, we've got Doctor Strange's Pocket Dimension, so that's another one that really doesn't have room for a full-on sequel unless something breaks through. So we have Captain Carter, we have Avengers Are Dead, we have Marvel Zombies. And again, we just dumped all these zombies and Wanda into a different universe, so who even knows what happens there. We have Killmonger Kills Tony universe, where Killmonger doesn't go back there, so what even happens now? We have Party Thor, which I guess he goes on that date. It's episodes 1 and 3 are like the only ones that seem to be actually ready for a sequel. So I don't know. I did I did write down my prediction for the first episode of season 2, but I had like, oh, Steve Rogers is inside the Hydra Stomper, so I have 2 predictions. One, what if Steve Rogers, so the titles and the concepts, or the conceits rather. One, what if Steve Rogers became Iron Man? The idea being that either it was an accident that fused him to the suit or something, and it's kind of like, this is who he is now. Or, I guess he has the Stomper, so it's not even like Howard could have built him more suits or something. There's also the question of what the deal with Tony Stark is in this timeline. I don't know. The other title or conceit I had is, what if Steve Rogers became the Winter Soldier? Could be kind of neat. He would need a bit of a boost in order to make that happen, because he's a little scrawny still, but a little bit of the Hydra formula might get the job done. As for ranking this episode, so overall, I've wandered a lot on this one. There's just so many disparate thoughts that I have here. Overall, I generally liked the episode. It felt like a strange conclusion for everything. There was a lot of contrivances at play that made it less enjoyable than previous ones, and certainly less than What If Ultron won, which was a pretty devastating kind of curb stomp fight that Ultron came out victorious for. I'm going to give this episode a 7. It was fine. I enjoyed it well enough. There were things that I still enjoyed quite a bit on repeat watches. I wish they could have done more. I wish the episode was longer. Some of the contrivances didn't seem to have a lot of logic behind them. But it was ultimately a pretty decent finale. So far, yeah, I would say the finale is more like I gave the Falcon and the Winter Soldier finale a 7 also, and I'd say that feels pretty accurate here. A similar kind of ending for that one. So looking at the series overall, bit of a roller coaster there. It started out pretty middling, and then we had our spike up for Doctor Strange, and then a pretty solid one for zombies, and then we kind of dipped down into the Thor one that I hate. I really hate that episode. It's pretty bad. But then the last 2 episodes brought it home. The Ultron episode in particular was really, really good. So like pretty solid. I would say that I like this show slightly better than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and not as much as WandaVision or Loki. I would say that it is 3rd out of 4 for our the MCU shows so far. I have not started watching Hawkeye yet. I'm going to be doing that later this week. There will be some reviews for that, as well as tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a review for Eternals. We finally got to see Eternals last week, because we couldn't catch it before. We had a trip, and then we were feeling gross for like a whole week after that. So we finally got to see it, and I have some thoughts on that. I'm gonna get that tomorrow. I would love to hear what you guys think of the entire season of What If, as well as its finale, What If the Watcher Broke His Oath. I'm looking forward to season 2. I'm looking forward to something different. I am looking forward to having a show with a continuing storyline to follow. The I was gonna say compilation. That's not quite right. I was gonna say, or like variety show. The term is escaping me, but a bunch of separate stories. A story that is basically a bunch of separate stories. Nope, it's gone. But yeah, it was okay. I kind of had a sneaking feeling that they were going to connect together in some way in the end, and it turned out that they did. But like, it's really hard to maintain that investment. Maintain that investment week after week, when every week your story is going to end and you're going to get a different story after that. It's like, I want something to come back for each week. So Hawkeye will hopefully be helping out with that. So thank you guys very much for hanging out here. I know it took a long-ass time to get to the end of What If. Didn't mean to leave it hanging that long. We're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to talk Eternals and then get into Hawkeye from there. I'd love to hear what you think of this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We got a Patreon, patreon.com/dpadfm. If you like what we do, then feel free to, head over there and see about, what we got going over there. Thank you guys very much. I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Bye.